My guest today is Anna Booth, co-founder of CoSolve, which provides independent mediation, facilitation and arbitration services in workplaces in Australia, New Zealand and South Africa. Anna, hi and welcome to In Her Shoes.
Hello there.
Thank you for joining us.
My great pleasure.
Give us an overview of what CoSolve does.
Well, CoSolve, as you said, is an independent facilitation company, and we provide third-party neutral facilitation services, particularly in workplaces and particularly in unionised workplaces between unions and management, where agreement reaching is important. So it could be anything from a particular change in the workplace, it could be terms and conditions of employment, or it could even be a dispute that needs to be resolved. And so we'll come in and really create a space within which parties can talk to one another and help them reach an agreement.
I'd like to talk to you about leadership, and especially women in leadership roles. Where do you feel that business is going as far as what business needs from leaders?
Well, I think the most important thing, whether it's actually leaders indeed or followers, is character. So, I think that leaders need to exhibit great strength of character, great high integrity, a really encompassing understanding of their organisation and the people within it. And they need to demonstrate great care and empathy, and they need to be open to others' suggestions, and they need to demonstrate that they're genuinely listening. They need to alter and modify and shape their decisions by listening, and then they of course need to be decisive and act, and action is really terribly important. I think one of the things that frustrates people in organisations enormously is prevarication and paralysis.
How well equipped are women to take on the leadership roles, not only the roles that are available now, but those that you envisage will become available?
I think they're enormously equipped, and of course, women are leaders at all levels. I think one thing we think about with leadership is the position of the leader, but actually leadership is a practice, a set of behaviours, and that is exhibited at all levels of organisations. So, I've been in hospitals where assistants in nursing, for example, which is one of the frontline unregistered nursing positions, where there are leaders in that group. So, women have the abilities and the characteristics that I've described, I think, that are necessary of leaders. I'm loath to say that we have them more than men. I do think that we tend to generalise, and that can be dangerous. But what I would say is that women are adept at thinking broadly, at understanding the interdependencies between things. There's that sort of notion that we're great at multitasking. I'm not sure whether we are actually any better at it or not than men. I've not really seen any good empirical data on that. I know we feel we are, but that's because we're coming from our own, experience. But I think that what we as women can do is understand, stand in the shoes very well, just to steal the title of your segment here, of others. And have them see that and connect with them, and then be able to lead them on the basis of a genuine understanding of what that other person's needs are, which is, I think, the best leadership you can give.
You mentioned action earlier and the importance of taking action. Is there an area where women are perhaps missing opportunities because the actions that they are or they are not taking?
Look, for me, I think the great systemic failure in women moving from the pipeline as we know. I mean, let's take the law as an example. As you know, I chair also the law firm Slater and Gordon. So there are more young women lawyers than there are young men. There are more women graduating from law now than men, just slightly more. It's not 70%, it's about 52, 53%, something like that. Maybe it's more, 55. And therefore we see a lot of young women coming into law firms, but like in all organisations, we see as the status of the role and the pay also of the role increases, we see fewer and fewer women. So what's going on there? Now, the traditional explanation is that we're taking time out of the workforce to have children, and of course that has an impact. But what I see across all industry is women taking functional roles and not line management roles. And to me, that's the critical piece, that, if you are in a construction company, then choose not just project management, but something, engineering or something operational that really gets you into the guts of the business. If you're in manufacturing, choose not HR, but actually choose factory management. If you're in the media, choose not just perhaps the finance role, but actually the real sort of heart and guts of the operations, the chief operating officer, something like that. So get involved down and dirty in the business. And of course, women do that in the interesting areas where women do that is health. So you'll see, particularly in the nursing management stream, the very senior roles are actually occupied by women because they've got that operational experience. Mind you, there aren't too many CEOs or chief officers of hospitals who come from the nursing stream, so that's another issue as well in health. But I think just choosing the actual operational end of the business very early on in your career will set you in the right pathway.
I think certainly for women who are looking to get on boards, having that breadth of skill or skills in those, I don't want to say harder hitting, but those more, as you said, not pipeline.
It's the machinery of the organisation. I mean, they're basically the profit centres as opposed to the cost centres, really.
That's a great way to break it up.
Enablers, which is your marketing and your HR and your finance, those things have all been, perhaps with a slight exception of finance, been well occupied by women. But when it comes to the actual operations, and you're looking for people with engineering qualifications, then those roles have been occupied by men.
At the Australian Businesswomen's Network, we're big advocates of mentoring as a career path, as a way to grow your business. Yeah. What role has mentoring played for you?
It's played a big role. I actually think that probably talk to anybody and you'll find that once they think hard about what mentoring is, they've been mentored even if they didn't know they were being mentored. So in my early career I was mentored by Fred Peterson, who was the National Secretary of the Clothing and Allied Trades Union, who first employed me when I was 21. And he was in that role for around, I guess maybe 15 of the 18 years, that maybe a little less, but he was there for a long time and he really did guide me in a whole range of ways. More recently, I've had some deliberate mentoring, as in formal mentoring, around governance, and that's really proving very helpful. So, what's great about mentoring is it is an equal relationship that you have with your mentor. It's not a junior relationship, but it's a time when you can actually speak to someone with expertise in an area and learn from them and apply some of that, and then go back and check in. How did that go for you? And that's been great.
You've had a very successful career. You've worked in many, many areas. For those watching who are perhaps at the start of their career, tell us some of the things that have served you well, values or principles or strategies.
I've learned that values aren't just something that you stick, mission statement and forget, that they actually have to be lived and spoken about in a practical kind of a way. So at Slater and Gordon, we wouldn't have a board meeting where we weren't talking about whether a particular decision impacted positively or compatibly or otherwise, with our values. So even our tagline, no challenge too great, I think is one of the rare taglines that actually sums us up, so that we are there for individuals whose access to justice would be diminished or denied, if we were not around. And I guess coming from the trade union movement, the values about supporting somebody who is vulnerable and unable to support themselves is really, that's been with me for a long time. I think a second thing, more recently actually, through my work at the bank, at ME Bank, which is owned by Industry Super Funds, is really work on the backbone of the company. So to get your all of your architecture and your machinery in place is really important, to be highly professional. Even in my little consultancy, CoSolve, whether in some companies like a bank, that'll be your risk management systems and your technology, really work on that and make sure that that's robust and stable. In a little company like CoSolve, it's our website and our IP and our processes that we would use to introduce ourselves to a company, and the kind of certainty that we would give parties about our independence. So, just get that backbone right. And I guess the third thing also comes from CoSolve, which is to really take into account the needs of stakeholders in decisions, not just to be nice, but because if you don't, the decision will unravel. So we want decisions that are actionable and sustainable and that improve our lives, be it our personal family lives or organisational lives or the lives of our country. And let's take, our current debate around reducing carbon pollution. We need to take decisions that really, we spend a lot of time on up front actually calculating the impacts on people and working that through and incorporating that into the implementation, because that's how decisions stick.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.